Okay, we're going to start doing a little bit of Hilchos Pesach in the next couple of weeks. And this year I think I'm going to go off the regular path and we'll talk about a little bit more complicated things like Agolas Kalim and Mechiras Chametz. We'll try to cover some of those in Yanim. So we'll start off a little bit with turning over the kitchens. That's what everybody's in the middle of doing now, turning over the kitchens. As a matter of fact, I got a question yesterday. Someone sent me a question. They were making the lokshin for Pesach and they found a blood spot in the egg. What do they do? I wanted to send back to them, what do you do making lokshin for Pesach? 4 weeks before Pesach, but it seems like the island is already getting into the mode of turning over the kitchens. So we'll start speaking at those halachas.
Can you cut a granite tabletop?
No, so we're going to everything. We're going to everything. You can't grind stone. It's easier to kasha than everything else. Stone is easier to kasha than the Formica countertops. The Formica countertops are the worst. Yeah, the stone you could kasha. Stone counters you could kasha. So we'll start with Agolas Kalim. Start with the Kalim, even though most people today don't kasha Kalim. Most people say the Kalim that we use for Pesach, most people today have separate Kalim, Pesach Kalim. But from there we'll be able to understand. In Halacha it doesn't speak about kashering countertops. In Halacha it speaks about kashering Kalim. From there we can learn out about kashering everything else. So first of all, this is a very important Halacha, which is that Kalim that have blias chametz in them. Blias chametz means you use this kli for chametz. Use it to cook in it, use it to eat on it. So the kalim have blias chametz. Now blias means it absorbed into the kli chametz. So those kalim are not allowed to be used on Pesach. Why? What's going to happen is if you put hot food into it or you cook in that pot, the chametz will come back into the food and it makes it asur. That's called blias. Now there's a common mistake. People think that if you have chametz and kalim in your house, you have to sell them. Which is not true. You don't have to sell any chametz to the kalim. And not just that, even the blias in the kalim, which is chametz, you don't have to sell. You don't have to sell kalim that have chametz in them. The only thing is, you have to be careful that you don't use them on Pesach. That we'll see in a second how you do that. But you don't have to sell them. On blias, there's no din of chametz or over all of a Pesach.
Probably shouldn't sell them.
Probably shouldn't sell them. You sell your kalim to the guy. When you buy it back, you have to go ahead and toivel it. So you don't sell your kalim to the guy, and even the blias in the kalim, you don't sell to the guy. There's no reason to. The halacha is, if you have kalim that have chametz in them, blias of chametz, and you leave it in your house over Pesach, there's no problem. Because if you leave a bagel in your house over Pesach, after Pesach, you're not allowed to eat it. It's also to eat it. Any chametz over all of a Pesach, chametz that stayed in your house over Pesach, you're not allowed to eat after Pesach, unless you sold it. Sorry.
Right.
Unless you we're in the groove here, so hopefully it'll stay at the end of the shift. Unless any chametz that was left in your house over Pesach, you're not allowed to use it. You have schnapps in your house, or whiskey in your house over Pesach, you're not allowed to use it after Pesach unless you sold it. That's the mechira. But chametz over of Pesach is also. That's only when it's chametz be'en. Whiskey, which you leave in your house or you sell it. But blias in the kalim that stayed in your house over Pesach is not a problem. So that you're fine with. The problem is when you have kalim in your house and they weren't cleaned well, containers, something like that, and it may have crumbs of chametz in them, that you have to sell. Those crumbs you have to sell. Or don't sell, just give it away to the guy and say you can keep it. Those crumbs are a problem. Why? Because crumbs, which is chametz be'en, it's not a blia, it's be'en, it's real chametz. After Pesach, if you want to use that kli, that pot, which has a crumb of chametz inside of it, you're not allowed to use it. Why? Because what's happening is you're going to put food into the pot, and you have chametz over Pesach in the pot, you can't eat it. What's the heter? It's batal b'shishim. This is going to come up a lot now. This heter we have to remember. Batal b'shishim means if you have something that's asur, and it's in a pot, you have 60 times the amount of the thing that's asur, it becomes mutter, you're not to eat it. Not on Pesach. After Pesach, yes. Chametz on Pesach is not bottled even a mashahu. It's not bottled. But after Pesach, you're not using this kelim on Pesach. This kelim, you're putting it away, you're not using them on Pesach. You're not going to touch them. After Pesach and take them out, you're going to use them. So the blias that are in the kelim, you don't have to worry about. But there's little crumbs that are left over in the kli, for example, which is a very common thing, a toaster oven. Right? Or a bread, a bread cutter, any of these things that come in contact with bread, especially toasted bread, it's almost impossible to get the crumbs out. It's almost impossible. So what happens is you have a toaster oven. Not just toaster oven, what do they call it? Where you put the bread in, just for bread. It's called toaster? Bread toaster. The small ovens, yeah, that's a toaster, yeah, but when you put the bread in, a toaster. So use a bread toaster, it's always full of crumbs, and no matter how much you're going to try, you can't get out the crumbs. So that, you should sell. You should sell that, or give the guy the crumbs of the bread toaster for free. Keep the crumbs, I don't need them. They're his over Pesach, after Pesach you don't have to worry about it. But if you don't sell it, and it stays in your house over Pesach, those crumbs are asur. So now when you go use it again for your bread, even though if a drop of chametz comes into it is bottled, but you're not allowed to go ahead and use that pot with the drop of chametz inside of it after Pesach, because ein mevatlan issa lechatchila. If something is asur, you're not allowed to go ahead lechatchila and add 60 to it and make it bottle and say now I'm using it. You can't do that. Ein mevatlan issa lechatchila. You can't go ahead and take even a crumb of chametz after Pesach that's asur. You can't say what's going to happen. I'll put my fresh stuff into it after Pesach. The drop that's there will become bottle anyway, b'shishim. You can't do that.
Okay, Yiddish idea.
Because that's called mavatam nisla lechatchila. You can't do that. Therefore, anything that has crumbs in it, that you have to be careful with. Anything that has only blias in it, that's fine. Blias are not asur after Pesach. On Pesach you can't use it. After Pesach it's fine. That's why if you look in the Shtar Mechira, they sell to the guy, they don't sell, most of them shouldn't sell, the blias of the kelim, because you don't have to do that. No reason to do that. They'll sell, or they'll give to the guy the little crumbs that are lying around. Because that'll be also after Pesach. That's what you have to be careful with. You try to clean your toaster ovens, try whatever you could, but at least give away the crumbs to the guy, or lock them up in a place where you're selling the whole thing, and that goes to the guy. But you don't sell the kelim. It's very important to know that. You don't sell the kelim to the guy, just you makna him the crumbs of the toaster oven. Now,
but when you sell your clothes, you don't stipulate everything.
No, so what you do is, so that's why. So usually what you do is you lock up everything in a certain cabinet. So anything in this cabinet, chametz gomer, I'm selling to the guy. Let's say you sell chametz gomer. You sell to the guy. But
how much it costs.
Yeah, but the kelim is something else. The kelim that you're selling to the guy, you're not selling the kelim to the guy. You're not selling your pots and pans to the guy. Because you don't want to sell it to them. You buy it back after Pesach, you have to recasher it. All you're selling is the chametz there. So the blias of chametz you don't have to sell. The crumbs that are lying around you have to give to the guy. I think today in the stores, they don't sell it. Yeah. Yeah, but you have to know what's going on.
Why?
That's what I said. This year we go more into the deeper things that we have to know what's going on, and everything is Pesach. Now we're not going to go into the regular Pesach cleaning. We're going to the more.
If you're, let's say, in Yedlinfeld, and there's you have to sell your hummus, and you have to know what to do, right?
Yeah. You have to know how to clean it. You have to know how to clean it. You have to know if you're cleaning a toaster oven and you can't get out the crumbs, you have to make sure.
Who'd sell? No one's going to clean a toaster oven.
What?
No one's going to do that for Pesach.
What? Clean it?
Yeah.
Of course you clean it.
People can do that?
You clean it to get out the crumbs, whatever you could.
Oh. Isn't it taking
not because you're going to use it. Half is good enough. Yeah, question. Yeah, what we do is with the crumbs, you can make it happen. You can say it to anybody. Anybody wants to have the crumbs.
What's the problem for it?
Yeah, that's true. We do say that, but any chametz that you don't know about, you say it's hefker. But these crumbs you know about.
You have some pasta.
Yeah.
I did everything I could.
Okay, anytime. It could be included. It could be included in your hefker.
Why is it different than crumbs?
He says the crumbs is different.
What?
I missed it. But why is that different than, let's say, you have some pasta? You put the pasta in a cupboard, you sell the whole cupboard, and that's it. So how these crumbs in the toaster are different?
No, because you're selling the pasta. You're not selling the toaster oven to the guy.
You're selling, I understand, but...
So you're selling the crumbs of the toaster oven.
The rabbi knows that.
Yeah. No, the rabbi knows is that if you put up... He asks you, what are you selling to the guy?
My toaster.
And usually you say, I'm selling my toaster oven to the guy, and I'm selling the Chametz gomer.
You don't sell it. You say, I'm selling whatever's in this cupboard, that's what I'm selling.
You can't do that.
Look, well, that's what the rabbi did.
It doesn't say that in the star. Doesn't say that in the
goes through
star.
every single area and says, okay, what do you have?
It doesn't say in the star, but it says in things, any kalim.
Okay.
Kalim you're not selling.
That's a standard line.
Yeah,
right?
kalim you're not selling. In the star it usually says.
I'm talking Nalabama. I don't know what Baba says. This is Nalabama.
Whatever you sell to the guy, Chametz gomer, you sell to the guy any Chametz gomer,
right.
And then the pirurim, the crumbs, has a whole different din. So that's why it depends on which star. A lot of stars, they don't sell the crumbs. You don't just sell the crumbs to the guy. They mafka the crumbs. They give the crumbs to the guy.
So can I add my star? I can add the crumbs. I'm going to write crumbs on it. On the star.
You don't have to add it.
Who do you sell?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll like that.
It probably says it. It probably says it in the star.
I can add it.
It probably says in the star any chametz be'en. So it probably says in the star.
But it's not bad.
No, crumbs is called chametz be'en.
It's Chametz bad?
Yeah, it probably says in the star any chametz be'en. I'm selling to the guy, or I'm being mafkir to the guy.
What's the standard term?
That's what it is. Check the star. Doesn't say that, then fix it. But that's what you're saying in the star.
Tell Rabbi probably want a copy of the star.
Chametz be'en, you cannot keep in your house. I'm just letting you know what you have to be careful with. You'll check the star. Now the star will look differently to you. You have to know what you're doing. Chametz, belias of chametz, belias in your kelim, you have nothing to worry about. It's fine. You can leave it in your house on Pesach. Chametz be'en, you have to get rid of.
But a toaster, you can't toivel afterwards, even if...
Right. Yeah.
So what do you do there?
So you don't sell a
Buy a new
toaster.
one every year.
No, that's why we don't sell a toaster oven. We don't sell our kelim to the guy. Toaster oven, you're not going to sell to the guy. Either you sell him the crumbs in the toaster oven, or you'll give him the crumbs in the toaster oven. And let him keep it. After Pesach, he'll come pick it up. Okay. So it's in your house. But it's not yours. It's Chametz shel a guy, which is in your house over Pesach, which is not...
I need to toivel afterwards. Why do I need to toivel?
You don't have to tell you afterwards. If you sell
let's say
it...
if I were to sell it.
Because the
Why
guy...
do I do toivel?
If you sell something to the guy, you buy it back from the guy.
If I buy something was manufactured in Israel, right from Home Depot, package.
It's a
It's
question.
not owned in the middle by...
Yeah, you have to table it. Yeah, you have to table it.
So you're saying all these kelim we have to type
Something from
after?
Israel.
No, because we don't sell it.
You don't
We don't sell it, I'm saying.
I got it. I got it. I think I got it now. That makes sense. If you sold the whole thing, you have to type it.
That's what I'm saying. You know, if the kelim you don't sell, we sell yes? Okay, good. So now, but
Took about half an hour, but I got it.
But now the kelim you have, the kelim you have in your house that are chametz, they have beliefs in them. So what do you do with them? So you have to lock it up. You have to put it in a place.
For example, give me an example.
All your kelim, all your dishes.
All the dishes, okay.
All the dishes they have. So it used to be when you had one kitchen, so you empty out the cabinets and take all the chametz to kelim and put them away downstairs somewhere. Now halacha it says, I'm reading it halacha. Here.
It was easy.
All these kelim that have blias of chametz, which you don't have to sell to the guy, you don't have to worry about the blias, but what do you do with them? You have to hide them. The mokim tzenua, she'einei rogo le'elaksham, a place I usually don't go to. Kadesh le'yava le'shtamesh behem b'Pesach. They shouldn't come to use it on Pesach. The toiv, and it's good, the segram b'cheder, to lock it up in a room, u'latzniya mafteach, and to hide the key. Now, what people do today, unfortunately, in a lot of houses, they have a Pesach kitchen. Maybe even part of the kitchen is Pesach dik. So they do is they leave the chametz they kill them in the cabinet, put a little piece of tape on it, and it says in it chametz, and that's it, finished. Or even the drawers with the silverware.
Well, upstairs, I mean, you know, you have all the cupboards. We have regular dishes. You just put some tape or a strip.
Tape. It says chametz, and then you go downstairs.
Or you stay upstairs.
Or you stay upstairs.
That's the problem.
The problem is that it's very easy to get to those cables.
No, there's a string on them.
String on it. So how hard is it to open the string?
Well,
how easy it is to open the cabinet?
Do not touch.
How many times do we have that we leave our chametz in the cabinet in the regular drawer, special silverware, and you go to that Pesach mistake, you open it up and you take it out.
Well, that's why you need a string.
Okay, so the question is, that enough?
Don't forget.
So the question is that big tape enough?
It better be enough because I'm not. That's all I'm doing.
No, this year because you have to put some screws now.
Screws, yeah.
You didn't know before, now you know.
So the halacha says you have to put it in a place. You have to near them. So you shouldn't even see them in front of your eyes on Pesach, and lock it up and hide the key. That's what the Mechaber says. Today it became very makel on this. I'm not sure why. And people just put a little piece of tape on it. Now, if you put it in a way that you know for sure you're not going to get to it, you tape it shut, you rope it shut, that you can't get to unless you undo it, okay. It's like you locked it up, maybe. But to put a little piece of masking tape on it, it's not enough. That's not going to be enough. Especially according to the Mechaber. Right? It's very easily to make that mistake and to open up that drawer. Right? Especially if you have the Pesach kitchen and a Chametz kitchen in the same place, and before Pesach, one half of it is Pesach stick, the other half is Chametz stick, and while you're using the Pesach, you're also using the Chametz. Right? So a lot of people have that. While they're baking Pesach, they still have the Chametz stick cabinets opened, and they take stuff from it.
What is the Mishnah?
Well, in this case, you have to speak about that.
No,
No, Mishmur doesn't argue that.
Those days they have to capture everything. They didn't have any chametz.
If you have chametz in the kelim, so he says you have to hide the key. Why? Because if you go look for the key, you can remember that it's Pesach. By the time you find the key, you can remember that it's Pesach. Right? That's what he says. That's what Mishmur explains. Because by the time you go get the key, you'll remember that it's Pesach.
Who has a key?
You can use the same logic though with these big pieces of tape.
Okay, but the question is,
by the time you look,
it depends what. Yeah. You're right. I'm saying you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Some houses take a little piece of masking tape, and they lock it up. But how many times do kids go there on Pesach and open it up and take out silverware?
You put your hand over.
Yeah. Even adults do it.
Are you allowed? Are you allowed to go? Let's say you have a room where there's chametz and you sell the room. Can you go into that room during Pesach and get something?
Yeah,
get something which is not chametz stick?
Yeah, most of the time you don't sell the whole room. You allow yourself just as regular. You allow to walk into the room.
Or cupboards.
But the same thing. But this is the same thing. If someone has chametz gomer, and has a place where he locks up chametz gomer, there's beer, whatever it is in his room, you don't go into that room on Pesach because forget about you're allowed to walk into the room. But what happened to this halacha? Anything that's chametz stick, you have to make sure you don't come to eat it on Pesach. So if you have a room that has chametz gomer in it, and you don't lock it up well, you can walk into it on Pesach. There's a problem with this halacha. Okay, it's not chametz on Pesach. It's fine. It's sold to the guy. But if you can get to it on Pesach, it's an issue.
So the problem isn't you. The problem is your kids.
No, you also.
You're not going to go in there and take chametz and start eating.
Yeah,
but your kid could. Little kid could.
Yeah, after arbitration, maybe you will, right?
Never what?
After arbitration says maybe you will.
Yes,
that's not a halacha. That's a halacha with the kelim. You should make sure that the kelim that are chametz stick are locked up in a way that you won't get to it on Pesach. You won't get it no matter what. You have to make sure that it's a good enough hecker that you won't get to it on Pesach. Fine, that's the first part of the chametz stick kelim.
That was the easy part.
It was the easy part, yeah. Someone told me remembers, this is a person who comes from a very, very wealthy home. And this last week he told me he remembers that his father, before Pesach, would make them empty all the cabinets and put all the chametz into boxes and go there, bring it down to a basement into a room on the side and lock it up.
He was rich at the time, or?
Very rich at the time. And you know who he is, his name was Moshe Reichman.
Yeah. Wow.
Every Pesach, before Pesach, empty out all the kelim into boxes and put them downstairs into the room and lock it up and put away the key. Today we became very lazy. We like to leave everything there. And that makes him. It's not like it doesn't happen. The stories all the time. I've got lots of questions. I took out the chametz to the things. When someone asks me a question, I tell them the mistake is not they took out the chametz to the thing. The mistake is they didn't listen to halacha to begin with. You didn't lock it up correctly. If you lock it up correctly, you won't have any issues. You can't leave chametz on Pesach. You know, today some people lock up the whole kitchen even. So you don't go into that kitchen, so it's okay. But if you go into that room and you're using that room, and there's a cabinet right in front of you has chametz or kelim in it, it's an issue. Okay, that's all the chametz or kelim. Now we go a little bit into Hagala. Somebody is a little bit complicated, but it's good to know where Hagala comes from. So there's two things here. In Hagala's kelim, we're not going to finish the whole thing today. Maybe we'll continue next week.
Depends what Hagala means.
Well, yeah. So we're going to Hagala's kelim. What is it? So now there's two things over here. There's something called libun and something called Hagala. Libun means when you use something on the fire, an oven, right? Or any kelim you use in the fire, the racks in the oven, and something dries on top of it, that's called, it gets into it ayidei ha'esh. The fire takes the chametz, you take a piece of bread, you bake it in a tin, in the oven, it's ala eish, it's by the fire. There, if chametz gets into that thing, so the only way to get the chametz out, or not just chametz, any issur, the halachas is over everything. Anytime something becomes asur, if it comes in through fire, the only way you can get it out is through libun. Libun means you're making it white. It means you take the metal and you make it boiling hot. That's called libun.
Make it red.
Huh?
Make it red.
Make it red, yeah. You make it very, very hot. You make it very, very hot, and that burns out the chametz that's inside. That's called libun. That's one thing. Self-clean. Self-clean basically what it's doing is, it's burning out any chametz that's in the walls of the oven, it burns it out. So your oven walls, if chametz gets to it, so the racks, the chametz gets to it, chametz goes on the racks, or the foils, the tins that they're in, that's all ayidei ha'esh, through the fire. That needs libun. You have to burn out the chametz that's inside of it. That's called libun. There's something called Hagala. Hagala is that you have blias in the kli. You have chametz, you used it, you cooked it with water, or it wasn't ala eish mamish. For example, cutlery. Cutlery, you don't use it by the fire. If you have a knife, they stick it to a piece of chametz by the fire. That's ala eish. But some it's not on the fire. Something you never use on the fire, or it's in a pot. A pot, even though the pot's on the fire, but there's water in the pot. So then, what happens is, if you cook chametz in that pot, the way you make it not chametz stick is through Hagala. Hagala means you cook it, you put it in boiling hot water, and the boiling hot water pulls out the chametz from the walls of the pot. That's the difference. One's libun and one's Hagala. Hagala.
What's libun again?
Libun is burning it out. So libun burns out the chametz. It takes the chametz that's in the pot and it burns it out. Hagala is something else. Hagala doesn't burn it out. The chametz is still there. But the hot water pulls out the chametz from the kli into the water. So you just pull the chametz out of the pot into the water, and now it becomes kosher.
It's enough to boil it. You don't have to put a burning stone into it.
No, so we'll get to the burning stone in a second. We'll get to the burning stone in a second. That's Hagala. First you have to know what we're trying to accomplish. So libun burns out the chametz, it goes into the kli, deep into the kli, and burns all the chametz inside of it. Hagala pulls out the chametz from the walls of the kli. That's Hagala.
So if you have, let's say, a convertible, why would someone, you have that for during the every Shabbos, right? Some people, before Pesach, they want to use the same one.
Same what?
Convertible.
What's a convertible?
Convertible. You know what a convertible is.
Until
Never heard of convertible?
Oh, until it's time. Until it's time?
Yeah, thank you very much. You're born in Toronto, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So some people title that.
Okay.
But why? You don't have to,
You don't
right?
title that. No. Okay, we'll get to all the chumras in a second. We'll get to all the chumras in a second. We'll get to all the chumras in a second. Those are two things that happen. Libun and Hagala. Right? Hagala pulls it out, and libun is burning out the chametz that's in the walls of the thing. So now, ovens, obviously, need libun. What's called libun? You make it boiling hot, till it's red hot. That's called libun. Now, there's two types of libun. Two types of burning out. One is called libun gomer, and one is called libun kal. Which these things come up a lot when you're into kashering. Libun gomer means you take it and you make it red hot, it burns everything out. That's called libun gomer. The problem is a lot of our ovens that don't have self-clean, you can't do libun gomer on it. The grates, right, that you have on top of the ovens, top of the stovetops. That if you have fire. So the way you kasher that is, you put libun in the fire until it gets red hot, and that's called libun gomer. But in the oven, if you don't have self-clean, you can't do libun gomer. Libun gomer means it gets red hot. The oven will never get red hot. So how do you kasher your oven? So there's something called libun kal. Libun kal is a lower level of libun, which means the halacha is that if you take a piece of straw and you touch the opposite side of what you're doing libun, it'll burn. So let's say I'm kashering this cup, right? I'm doing libun on it, I'm making it very red hot. If I put a piece of straw on this side of it, it'll get burnt. It means it's not getting red hot. It's not getting red hot. If it's getting very hot, then I could put a piece of straw on the other side and it'll get burnt. That's called libun kal. That's called libun kal. Now, in our ovens, a lot of times we samich on libun kal for Pesach. And the reason is like this. The reason is because this is a little complicated, but I think it's because I speak this out. It's very important to know this. There's something called hetera bola. Hetera bola means, this comes when you have kachim in the Beis HaMikdash, and you go ahead and you cook a piece of meat from the carbon in a pot. A piece of meat that's left overnight in kachim becomes noiser. You're not allowed to eat it the next day. It's also to eat it. So now I have a pot, and I cooked a piece of meat inside of it. The next morning, in the pot, on the walls of the pot, there's blias of that meat. So why doesn't the pot become aser? The pot should become aser, because you have a blias of that meat in the walls of the pot. So the pot should become aser. You should have to have a libun on the pot. So the teretz is, the Gemara says, that anything that's hetera bola, when it came into the pot, it was heter. Later on it becomes iser, you never need libun gomer. You don't need libun gomer. A libun kal is good enough. Chametz on Pesach is the same idea. When the chametz came into the walls of the pot, what was it? It was heter. When's it becoming aser? On Pesach. So that's called hetera bola. That when it got into the walls of the pot, it was heter, and now it becomes aser. Therefore, there's a kula when you're kashering something for Pesach to use libun kal, because when it came in, it was heter, and now it becomes aser afterwards in the walls of the pot. So that's called hetera bola. It was beleya beheter, and now it becomes aser. Therefore, the Ramah says, "V'yesh makilim in the slavim kol kach shekash nisef alav v'bachutz." It's good enough. Why? Because Pesach is called hetera bola.
What is the second word?
Heter bola, it absorbed. When it absorbed it, it was heter.
Ayin.
The chametz.
Beis lamed ayin.
Beis lamed ayin, yeah. Bola. Hetera bola. It absorbed it when it was heter. Now, on Pesach, it's becoming isser. When's it becoming isser? In the walls of the kli, it's becoming isser.
So basically, if you had some cutlery, which was milchus, and then, it's by mistake, it touched fleishiks, you couldn't use this kal if you wanted to type it for a Pesach.
Correct. Right. You can teufel it,
but not a different way.
You can kasher it, but if it's done through the fire, you have to have libun. If you have a frying pan, a fleishig frying pan, which you went ahead and you put cheese in it by mistake. So that's how they are eish. That's through the fire. There's no water involved there. So then there's libun gomer. We're not going to be makel over there in that case, libun kal.
People don't know that.
Because that is regular isser. If your guy goes ahead by mistake and puts the treifin of meat in your pot, avaish, you need libun gomer. It's not going to help you libun kal. By Pesach, you have a kula. Because at Pesach, when the chametz comes into it, it's heter, and later on it becomes isser. That's called hetera bola. It's more of a Chaldic thing. That's why libun.
Because I've seen some people come here to do their stuff before Pesach, to table it.
Yeah.
And they bring in cutlery, which was mixed up with milk and flavor.
No, so cutlery is something else. Cutlery is not like eish. Cutlery, it's what we said, it spoke at the beginning. Libun is only when it's something that's on the fire.
Oh, okay.
If you take a fleishig knife that you use to on your barbecue, let's say, right?
Yeah.
On the barbecue, that's al-aish.
Right.
And it has fleishigs in it.
Right.
And then you went ahead and you use the same thing for cheese on the fire.
Right.
That means libun gomer. You can't go ahead and do hagala. Our cutlery, the reason why hagala is enough, our cutlery, that we get mixed up the milchas and fleishigs, is because it's not on the fire.
Gotcha.
It's not on the fire.
It's cold.
Huh?
It's cold in it?
No, even though it's hot. Even if it's hot, it's very hot.
It's
Huh?
Or when you toggle it,
No, Hagala. So that's the chiluk of Pesach. Pesach has that kula. That's why a lot of people make on the ovens do libun kal. You burn it out. Libun kal might be enough Pesach. You have to ask your rabbis exactly when you can be semich on that. But that's where it comes from: libun gomer or libun kal. Then there's Hagala. Hagala is taking out the blias of the kli. So now it depends. Something that's belei chametz through a kli rishon, that means it was from the fire, is more chametzik. If it's belei chametz only from a kli sheni, you took something off the fire chametz and you put it into plates. So plates are always called a kli sheni. You put it into the plate, it's a kli sheni. Kli sheni is more mekel than a kli rishon. So our cutlery is all more kal, more lenient than a kli rishon aleish, because most of our cutlery is kli shenis. Most of our cutlery is kli shenis. So therefore, our cutlery hagala is enough. You take it, you dump it in. But something that's not used for hot at all. Something that's not used for hot at all. For example, a challah knife. It's not used for hot chametz.
Well, you can be cutting the hot challah.
Yeah, it's true if you have hot challah. The question is if it's hot or not. That's let this boy.
Probably not hot enough. Right?
But if you take a chametz like a knife that you use all year round for chametz, you have to kasher with it. You should have to kasher. You have for Pesach. If you don't use it for hot, it's only used for cold. Then you don't have to kasher with it. You can go wipe it off and use it for Pesach.
All these bechers, why do
It's
people?
throw me out. You say I'm a goy, right? Because you use a challah knife for Pesach. But the truth is you could.
So why do you kasher all the
Bechers. Someone has a becher, right? You use it on Pesach. Use it during the year. There's no blias. You never ever put anything hot into a becher, any hot chametz into a becher.
Hot water, you do.
Hot water.
Hot water maybe when you wash it. Okay.
You wash with other stuff.
Yeah, but then hot water. You wash first. The water is not yaslat, boy. You don't burn yourself on the hot
Depends
water.
if you use a dishwasher.
And even if you use a dishwasher, okay, and you have your silver, which most people don't put silver in a dishwasher, but if you do put your silver in the dishwasher, right? What do you worry about? There's some chametz there that ended up in the becher. That's really not bar nat. We'll get to that.
Not what?
Not bar nat. It's nice and time, bar nice and time. We'll get to that next week maybe. That means the chametz didn't go directly into the becher. It came through the water into the becher. That's really not a problem. We'll get to that next week. Not bar nat. But so bechers don't have to be kashered. Most of the time, waters don't have to be kashered. And leichters don't have to be kashered. And I see people saying that there became a chumrah that everything that we use for Pesach, we kasher them.
That's it. Yeah.
That's what the chumrah. Anything we use for Pesach, even if we use for cold. And the truth is, the Ramah says anything that sometimes the Mechaber says anything that roiv pa'amim, most of the time you use it for cold. Even though you used it, you know for sure you use it once or twice for hot, doesn't need a gal for Pesach, it's fine. That's the Mechaber holds. The Ramah says no, anything that was sometimes used for hot, you should, becher is never used for hot.
Not in case.
In case. Becher is never used for hot. So the fact that we machshir bechers is a chumrah. It's real.
Used for hot all the time, like the part that you do the hagala with, you don't have to kasher it after each pour.
That's something else. That's the reason why. That's a different reason why. Because the bliss come into it.
It doesn't come back in.
That's a different reason. It does come back in. We'll get to that in a second.
It's always boiling.
We'll get to that in a second. If you're using the water, if you're using the water and the chametz goes into it, why does it go back into the thing to use it? That'll be next week's share. Okay? Make sure you come next week. That's next week's share.
What's
when you're doing hagala, that's what we said. Libun is not a question. Because libun it burns it out. But hagala, what you're doing is you're pulling out the chametz. Where's the chametz going? Into the water. So why is it going right back into the spoon that you put into there? We'll speak about that next week. That'll be next week's share. How hagala works. Why doesn't it go right back in? But here's what needs hagala now. So the Bechers don't need hagala. There became a chumrah for some reason that so the Ramah said anything that's sometimes used for chametz, you have to do hagala on it. So some people say in Bechers maybe once you use it for hot, therefore we do hagala on Bechers. The minhag is on Bechers we do hagala.
Women always like clean stuff for Pesach. They don't like. That's the way they are.
Yeah. Bechers, the minhag is to do hagala on Bechers. On the Mayim Achronim things. On the Mayim Achronim things, there's no minhag to do hagala on the Mayim Achronim things. Some people do it. Fine, that was the minhag. But on the Bechers, there definitely is a valid minig, a solid minig to be maksher the bechers, something you drink from.
And then
No reason to be. The Ma'amar thing is no reason why. And we spoke last year also, this was the cleaning part of Pesach, that anything that you eat, you have to be, right? The chametz, the problem with chametz is that a mashru is not bottle. Even a drop of chametz is not bottle. Right. If you eat it, it's a problem. If you get mixed up with something else, even though it's only a drop, that's what makes ourselves crazy in the dining room, in the kitchen to clean, because you don't have a crumb. In the bedrooms, there's a drop of chametz, no problem. You know, even by your raw, by your matzah, and a drop of chametz. Therefore, the same thing with cutlery and stuff and bechers. If you're drinking from it, so people have a chumrah. Anything that you eat or drink from, you do a gol on it. My machronim that you don't eat or drink from it, there's no reason to do a gol on it. The lighter sticks, the candlesticks that you don't eat or drink from it, there's no reason to do a gol. There's no chumrah on it. The only chumrah we have on Pesach is anything that comes in contact with food or that we drink from or eat from. Therefore, the bechers is such a minig to be makshir the bechers, but the my machronim, no reason to be magil my machronim things or anything that you use for cold.
Everything else is kazayis.
Everything else is kazayis. And there's any chametz in your house, it's only kazayis. So if you know for sure that you clean your house, there's no kazayis chametz anywhere, you're fine, you're okay. In the kitchen, in the dining room, where you may end up, that crumb may end up in your food, there it's a bigger problem. Right?
No method what?
Yeah, that spoke last year. I remember I said last year that cars are a big problem. Today cars become a kitchen today. that you eat everything in your cars, right? So you get the cars got to be cleaned properly because our place you put food down, you coffee down, whatever it is, a drop of chametz,
Just don't do libun.
Don't do libun, yeah. You have to clean them very, very well, cars. Unless you're going to say, I'll clean my car well, there's no kazayas chametz, and on Pesach, I don't eat any food in the car, nothing. Okay, so you can make that hagdara. But the main thing for cleaning for Pesach is that a kazayas chametz, it's not going to end up in your food, less than kazayas, you don't have to worry about it. Any place where you're eating, there you have to be much more machmir. Because a drop of chametz that falls in your food is not bottled. And you're eating chametz on Pesach. That's why you have to be more careful in the places where you eat. Cars and kitchens and all those type of places. Unless you can say, I'm not going to Svarim, right? Svarim is the same thing. People are very machmir with the Svarim.
Yeah, it's like crumbs there.
So it depends. If you're going to have a policy that the svarim don't come on the dining room table or into the kitchen, any place where there's contact with food, it just stays in the svarim room over Pesach, then you can be more makel. Because it won't end up, if there's a crumb, it won't end up in your food. But if you're going to bring this svarim to your table, then you got to clean them very well. Alright.
You know what some people think they go to do libun and they do a gala, they don't have to clean properly. First they have to clean properly the dishes and everything.
So it depends for what? It depends for what. Hagala does not work on the end. That means if you have a kli that has grooves in it, and there's maybe a drop of chametz in it, Hagala won't work for it. Hagala pulls out the bleeds of chametz. The end doesn't come out. Libun burns everything.
Even though
no, so libun if it burns everything, even though it's be'en, it gets burnt out. But Hagala, you have to make sure. That's why the knives and the cutlery that have like little grooves in them. We're not magel them. We don't do a gala on them because there could be a drop of chametz inside of it, and then a gala won't work. If it's one piece, it's not a problem. But if it has like a handle with screws on it, then it's a problem because it could be chametz in those grooves.